who will be discussing a very interesting topic today: strategies to engage students in online classes. Ms. Rehab is the director of the Canadian Dream Center. She has been a university professor for 20 years and a certified English trainer in Canada with a master's degree in English language and literature, a TESOL diploma, and a TEFL certificate. She has extensive experience in the training sector as she contributed to many professional development sessions in Canada and overseas. Ms. Rehab has developed a variety of language courses and assessment rubrics. In addition to her pedagogical experience, she has a translation certificate from MCIS in Canada. She also has a certificate in entrepreneurship and a certificate in project management. Thank you, Ms. Rehab, for joining us today, and you can take it from here.
Hello. Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to show the video, like my camera, but I'm not sure. So
I try to help you.
Yeah, I mean, it was there. So I don't know why it doesn't give me now the, I don't know.
Me too. I can't find it.
Yeah, you see. So
yeah,
I'm not sure about the settings on your side.
Okay. What about now?
Okay, I think.
It's okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Azza, for your introduction. And I would like first to congratulate Teacher Jen for the 2nd anniversary, and to thank you for having me and hosting me as a presenter in this professional platform, and this very, I'm sure it's very fruitful and successful occasion to celebrate your work during for 2 years. So I would like also to thank Dr. Robert and Ms. Wilson for the presentations. I was listening and agreeing with what you mentioned and what you said in your slides. And I totally support the points that you've explained. For me today, I'd like to thank the attendees as well, because I can see some familiar names from different parts of the world. I would say either in Saudi, Gulf area, Oman, Canada, Egypt. So I'm very happy to know that you are here with us and joining us in this session. It was a pleasure knowing you, working with you sometime in the past. So regarding my presentation today, I'll be talking about some effective strategies to increase students' engagement in online classes. So yeah, I know that we all hope that our lessons would be successful, and that our students are cooperative and enjoying the online classes. So if we look at this picture with the change of seasons, you just remember this quote: the art of life is a constant readjustment to our surroundings. So as seasons change and as life changes, we just find ourselves adjust to these changes, which is a blessing. I think I'm referring to what happened during the pandemic, or even once the pandemic hit the world. So we found ourselves just shifting and moving from a lifestyle to another, a learning style to another. Even before the pandemic, I know, as Dr. Robert said, about online online pedagogy and courses, but it depended more in the past, as far as I know, on asynchronous, which is like distance learning. But with the pandemic, we actually resorted to more synchronous and live online classes, which actually proves that it is something useful, and we actually need to change the attitude of many people towards that. We as educators are messengers. We need to be positive and to show our students that it is a learning tool and it is a very useful learning medium. So not being physically in class doesn't mean that you will lose your learning, you can't understand, you can't. No, we really need to change this attitude. Okay, so why do we need to engage students in online learning? Cultivating an engaging learning environment online helps in creating safe and positive culture and classroom to our students, which will help them retain the lessons and produce better results and outcomes. So in today's presentation, I would like to show you how to do this by providing a communicative learning environment in synchronous classes, mainly creating a learning community to extend student interaction beyond the class time, giving feedback to motivate students and maintain their sense of responsibility, and applying the appropriate lesson length and duration in synchronous classes. So I hope together we can see how these factors or how these strategies will help us increase our students' engagement in online classes. So I would like to start with a poll for our attendees. So please look at this question. Do you think most in-person teaching skills can be transferable in online classes? Could you please answer yes, no, or not sure? Okay, so thank you. So according to your answers, the majority thinks that it is yes. We have few answers, negative answers, or not sure. Honestly, it is true that we can transfer many teaching skills and learning skills from face-to-face classes to online classes. And as I said, we've learned this throughout the time, and it didn't just happen overnight, but yes, maybe for like around almost 3 years now, everyone is learning more, is trying to understand what online learning is. So you will see that either by learning, reading, or even by teaching and practicing this, that you can transfer many teaching skills in online learning, and maybe more. You may get even more. So, okay. So let's first talk about, trying to understand some literature regarding the effectiveness of online learning. So many researchers found that online students can outperform traditional students. Also, students do better with instructor interaction and communication. And there is a lot of potential in online courses. According to the National Survey of Student Engagement, the averages show that online students reported better results in higher achievement and performance. Also, in other studies, they found that online students can learn more and spend more time on task if being or whenever they are more engaged in classes more than the traditional learning style. For online courses to be effective, we actually need strong methodology and opportunities for students to interact with each other and with their instructor. And this is what we are gonna focus on today. So, first of all, we need to focus on engaging activities. If we need to help students be more interested, more engaged in this Korean learning style, you see. So what types of active learning in online courses can be engaging for students? What I'm gonna show you, or even discuss with you today in this presentation, would be mostly from my experience with my students. So yes, I did this online teaching here in Canada. So I tried it with either international students or even local students, mostly adults, some young adults as well. So what I'm saying is, yes, these show that they are more interested in the lessons. They would like to pay more attention and be partners, not passive learners at all. So if the start of the course, you share with your learners your expectations, grades they will get for the course segments or their assessments, what they need to complete. I mean, being aware of your expectations and the course outline would make it very, very encouraging for them to move forward and engage in the course. As Mary Cooch, the education manager at Moodle, one of the very, very highly effective LMS platforms. So we need to focus on activities that ensure student-student interaction and teacher-student interaction. I will list some of them. I'm focusing on strategies, but I will give examples whenever it helps you more understand the strategy. So some of these activities could be applying concepts to case studies or problem solving, discussion forums about these concepts, lab and group projects, research papers, current events assignment, chat connect sessions, web projects, web pages, activities in all these opportunities would help students give their input, show their understanding, and feeling that they are engaged in the learning process. So effective design, facilitation, direction of cognitive and social process, they all define the teacher presence in online classes. So teachers are, trying to facilitate lessons in online courses, and they need to show their presence in order to succeed. So students in online classes need to feel that they are connected. the first point of connection and communicating the teacher. Students in online classes always fear the feeling of isolation. So the teacher needs to make sure that there is sufficient and efficient communication between the instructor and students and between the students themselves. Let me just share with you some examples of how some platforms and technology has, played a very great role in engaging classes, or I would say in making online classes more effective in engaging students. So, for example, one of the applications and online classrooms that I use sometimes with my university and college students here in Canada is Adobe Connect. In Adobe Connect, I would say it's not like a very easy application, or it needs some learning and practice until you figure out all the facilities and features it has. So with the Adobe, as you can see, you have in one screen, you have many options to share screen, to share a document, to share a whiteboard. You can even see the chat. Not only this, you can on the same screen, you can add layers of more other options that you can see here. So you can share the video here of you and students on a bigger scale. You have discussion notes, which is amazing. You have the discussion notes to write some questions and answers and give them a bigger space for, discussion. You have a poll here at the same time. So you can just vote, ask them to vote for some questions as kind of engagement. So you can see the opportunities for students to be engaged. A poll, a chat, a discussion, and more other facilities. You can see here another screen is the whiteboard, of course, and you can see here add file, so you can send file and they can download it with, again, what I'm saying is you can see everything in one time. I'm using Zoom as well in some other courses, especially with my business courses. I mean, like Canadian Dream Academy. But again, when you as a teacher have, like all these tools in hand one time, it makes your class more interactive. I also want to share with you something from some of my classes, but I'm sorry, I'm just hiding here the identity of my students just for privacy. So one of the things that we do in classes is the breakout tools, which is the magic always on Zoom, on Adobe, and whatever. So what's good about Adobe is the breakout rooms, when you divide the students into small groups according to the number, of course, yeah, you give them the opportunity to type their answers in notes or whiteboard, and after they're all back to the main room, you can share the answer of each room. So they are not just writing and no one else is knows about what they answered. No, exactly as what you used to do in classes, like face-to-face classes. Yes, they were like working in groups, they share with other students. They can still do that verbally, but I mean in writing, to see the actual work and for you to evaluate it with everyone, to give comments and analyze the answer. this what you can do. This is an example. You see, this is breakout room 2. This is breakout room 4. So everyone can see the answers of the other rooms that they already worked in their closed rooms. Then you can share and, as I said, discuss, analyze, evaluate, learn. They learn from each other, you see. So yeah, another example for the whiteboard in one of the breakout rooms. So they've been working on this cluster diagram. Then we share and again evaluate. When students know that their work is shared, is being evaluated, number one, they are more motivated and they are more careful for their answers. Another whiteboard. I mean, when they all go back to the main room, you have the control of showing the answers of each room. Okay, so let's run another poll here. Okay, and okay, I hope the other one is here. Yes. Okay, so could you please answer this question about asking students to turn on their cameras? So do you ask students to turn on their cameras during the lesson? Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, the answers are almost similar, except for yes, totally, all time. I would say, thank you very much for your input and your answers, because this is like helpful for everyone to know, and from your experience as well. I would say, knowing this, knowing, okay, so did I show you this? Yes. Okay, so knowing this, these results can make us think that, yes, it could be one of the advantages and privileges of online learning that some students feel, like comfortable not to show their, their faces, where they sit. I would say it shouldn't be yes all the time, for some reasons as students' convenience and comfort, and it shouldn't be no all time. If we're talking about communication and engagement, we definitely need students to show their presence, visual presence in class. Imagine the same applies to you as a teacher as well. Imagine if the students all the time see you as a black screen. From my experience, I wasn't happy about, this. I can't do it. Not all the time. At a certain point, yes, you can turn off your video or camera, because maybe you are focusing on more slides, more, you don't want distraction. The same goes to students, to avoid distraction. But again, make sure, please, to ask your students to show their videos and turn their cameras on when it comes to, sharing discussions, talking about, I can find my students do that, when they are in the breakout rooms. So they are off in class, and once they meet like in small groups, they just feel free to turn on their cameras. So yes, we can consider their comfort, but at the same time, engagement requires, like portion of class to be to be shared as cameras. So back to teacher presence. Yes, the teacher presence is either, as I just mentioned, showing the video, telling that you are not a robot or just, a hidden, an invisible speaker. No, you actually need to show your visibility to be visible to students in most of the time. Okay, so they need, like visually. Other types of or other ways to show your presence is, of course, to interact with your students to create their own social presence and enhance engagement. How can you show your presence? From time to time, maybe once a day, once a week, it depends on the course you're teaching, announcements on the homepage of the course delivery system, for example, like Moodle. Emails to students, following up and kind of, interaction about certain points in the course. Discussion forums, which is very, very effective, in which the instructor interacts as well. Online lectures or Connect sessions and chats. So show your presence in interaction, not just lecturing. Okay? To maintain students' engagement, teachers need to build the relationship to create a sense of community, support, and support their students. How can we do that? Help students have a sense of responsibility towards their learning, interactivity, and creativity in online classes. If we talk about responsibility, they need to practice self-learning. They need to, you give them the materials, ask them to go and read it on that platform. You ask them to be responsible, like for research, for example, access materials and learn from sources, lead discussions. So in the forums, you can ask some of them to be the leaders, maybe like peer even feedback. So they need to be responsible, to feel more responsibility, not only the teacher's responsibility to give the lesson. You see, interaction, of course, with students and teachers in activities. Creativity in online classes, yes, definitely. I've seen many opportunities for very interesting online activities. We're talking about very creative projects, very creative presentations, very creative activities and assignments that would help them use the online tools to show this creativity. You encourage them to design certain solutions for a scenario, for example, using online tools. You can go from the small assignment to building a website. You see, so yes, they can be creative, and this will make them feel more engaged in the online course. Be the host with the most. Be the host with the most. This is what we do or what we should do in online courses. How can we do that? When you are the host, be generous, be tactful. Consider that these students are in an online class. So you go through slides slowly. You let students know when it's time to ask and it's time to take notes, and you share with them the stages and the steps of the lesson. You also acknowledge those who are participating and being active. Believe me, acknowledgement works with even postgraduate students. This is from my experience. People like to be praised for their work, and being active in online classes should be always recognized. Yeah, and talking about acknowledgement, we should talk about feedback. So giving effective feedback and immediate feedback is another strategy that helps students be more engaged in classes. So you give feedback about their performance, quick responses to discussion posts, questions. This is, again, makes you maintain their interaction and engagement. Detailed and positive feedback is very effective, more than just, short messages. In online classes and online courses, we can use different tools: video feedback, audio, one-to-one in the breakout rooms, reviews and comments in like writing documents. There are many tools that you can use to correct and mark and give your comments. Rewards and prizes online, yes. E-gift cards. I don't know. I mean, here in Canada, it's very common to do this and to send the e-gift card to the student email. So using, for example, Amazon gift cards. Oh, they are very happy with that. Even with a small, cost, it's very, pleasant. Let me just show you some examples of feedback. I hope most of you are familiar with Turnitin. With Turnitin, we use it for essays, submitting research, reports, articles. So it enables you as a teacher to use a variety of feedback tools and plenty of ways to communicate with the students and give your comments. So you can see here in this example, here in the screen, you can use the quick mark. You see, citation needed. Commonly, you just grab the comment and add it to the place to save your time. You can write comments here. You see, you can check plagiarism, as you can see, and it tells you where this was, like the source from where it was copied, or like if it's plagiarized. It gives you a chance to record voice recording, you see, which is very, very, effective with students when they hear your voice. So some of them are, more auditory, so they can understand the comments more. Here is another way for feedback, Zoom video recording. So you can just record, use video recording in Zoom to show the student document, and as if you are talking to the student. So you will explain, okay, you put this here, you shouldn't put that, you need to change this, and this kind of communication, even if you're not together, off class, then you send the video to the student to read it, to listen to this, to take notes. It will give the student a chance to understand their mistakes better, even better than the in-person meetings, where the feedback is just, verbal and might be forgotten unless the student takes notes. But again, these online tools are very, very helpful and effective. Okay, we're talking about online learning, so we should be aware of two styles, as our respected presenters mentioned before: synchronous and asynchronous. So with synchronous, yes, they attend live class, and with asynchronous, they just have their own pace to open the recorded lesson and answer questions without you know, if we say the pressure of the live class. Examples of synchronous learning activities can be Zoom question and answer sessions, live stream demonstration, live student presentations. So we ask them to give their presentations either impromptu or prepared. With the asynchronous, so you see we have a plenty of activities that you can do, discussion, short video recordings, many other activities. So how long should a synchronous session be? It's like almost the last part in my presentation. So we need to consider the online content and the span of attention, the student's span of attention. So even if there is no specific time length for the lesson, it has been found that 90 minutes for the one session can be the maximum before you lose students' interest or attention. You see, of course, I mean, even we're saying 90 minutes, this might not apply to all learners. We need to think of certain factors like students' age, academic concept, the academic concept that you're giving, either it's humanities or science or language or math or number of students in class, Zoom fatigue effect or Zoom fatigue syndrome, where after a while students feel exhausted from looking at the screen and following the teacher. So what we should do to ensure the attendance, the attention of students in the online class, the long one. So split your session. I mean, what we do here in in Canadian, in most Canadian institutions, like in college and universities, we, for each 50 minutes, we give a 10-minute break. So you can give them a 10-minute break after 50 minutes, or you give them 20 minutes as a break after 90 minutes. You see? So, and sometimes half an hour. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying, yeah, it's 20 minutes, and yeah, the total of 3 hours is worth half an hour. So split your sessions. After you explain some concepts, I would say the maximum to change to an activity is 25 minutes. This is the maximum. So I would say even 15-minute lecturing or showing presentations, then give an activity. Engage them in an activity. I mean, an activity to work for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But these small questions can be given while you're teaching. I mean, since you start, I mean, every 5 minutes, if you have a question, if you need to see their comments, it's fine. But I mean the big activities. Breakout rooms with small numbers to give enough support and feedback is a very important part to make this long class tolerable and interesting and interactive. So to wrap up, we can see that in order to engage students in online classes, we need to ensure the active learning with all opportunities we have in online classes to provide interactive activities and to engage and encourage student interaction, student-student interaction, student-instructor interaction. I didn't focus today on all the examples and activities that you can do. I was focusing on strategies more, but I'm sure that you've done or you can find lots of activities to engage students in the lesson, teachers' presence, in communicating with students, in being approachable and reachable for anytime they need advice, they have a question, either in like on a small scale or in bigger projects. Also, feedback is very necessary for students to keep or being connected with the parts of the lesson, with the parts of the course. Don't ever skip feedback of a previous assignment before giving the coming assignment, because it all builds on student skills. So they learn from their mistakes, they learn from feedback. I always tell my students that the feedback is a very valuable lesson, more than or similar to the lesson that you attended in class. So you need to learn from the feedback and improve when needed. Feedback, as you can see, is very available in online courses. You can use a variety of tools, and you will see that your students prefer a certain style more than the other. So please go and do it more. I would say this doesn't, minimize or the value of online courses, even if you're not a face-to-face instructor, or you're not teaching an in-person class. We need, as I said at the beginning, to change the image about online learning and encourage our students to engage more in online class. It's not like, okay, the teacher is talking and everyone's there, I can just disappear, or feeling, reluctant to participate in class. So yes, this is very important to help them and show them that it is an engaging, cooperative, and interesting environment. Always use warmers at the beginning of the class, like icebreakers. Again, with technology, with online, as some of you mentioned, Kahoot, some scenarios, and ask them to work on critical thinking activities. Many teachers can talk about these applications. They are the best to talk about. You can find a lot of tools and applications to help you make the lesson enjoyable and interesting. Again, if we're talking about the lessons length, we should consider the age, the level of students. So the level of students would also decide how the portion of the concept or the lesson that you can give in one time. And of course, this is good for course designers to know. And I know that course designers, when they design online course, is not like the in-person course. They consider such a thing for the segments of the lesson, the breaks, the types of assessment. All this needs to be considered. As we started with the seasons, we are enjoying the fall season now everywhere, and we are really enjoying this in Canada. It's one of the most beautiful seasons with the colors. So thank you very much for listening. And please, if you have any question, I'll be very happy to answer. And I hope I can answer all. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Rehab, for such a valuable session. Now, we are ready to take your question. Please type them in the chat box. Thank you. It's amazing. Thank you, Abir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Hani.
You may type your questions in the chat box.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Wilson. Thank you, Diana. I enjoyed yours as well.
Okay, a question from Lama. Do you have any assessment tools where students' screens are locked?
You mean they don't show their videos, their cameras?
I think to avoid cheating. Yes.
Okay, so if you're talking about writing, for example, yes, number one, they can, and it depends on the number of students, you can disable their access to Google. You can ask them to share screen anytime they are doing the assessment. And I would say more like better than this, as I just showed, Turnitin, if you use some tools to show their plagiarism or cheating from other students' papers as well, this will they will be actually very careful not to cheat or to copy from any sources, you see, especially when it comes to writing, I would say. Okay.
Hey, how another question?
Thank you, Rania. Okay, thank you,
How
Rania,
many
for the
students
question.
do you group together in the breakout rooms, and do you assign them roles?
Okay.
In the room?
First of all, again, it depends on the size of the class, but I usually, in most of my the activities I give them is like 5 students in a room, and if like we're talking about adults, I ask them to assign roles to themselves. So someone would be the writer in the notes, some will search for that. They can, assign roles and divide tasks on themselves. And as I explained in one of the platform applications, when they know that, their answer will be shared and discussed, so they work harder. But again, about the size, sometimes I put it bigger if the activity is like huge and it needs requirements.
Okay.
Okay.
Hani from Saudi Arabia. Welcome, Hani. I'm teaching in Saudi Arabia, and it's not culturally acceptable for students to open their cam while presentation. So some of the students cheat, wow, and let their brothers or sisters to present instead of them. Oh, what can I do?
Okay, so if I mean, this is like, I mean, it's good to know about that, and it's one of the challenges if the culture controls certain, techniques and strategies in your class. I would say, of course, this will make it harder, especially for speaking. And I would say, you know what, you can use, even with impromptu presentations, if they can just ask someone immediately to come and speak on their behalf, it is still a problem. I would say maybe in the future, or not in the future, maybe in the very near future, we should use the voice print. What's that? Yeah, voice print. The print of your voice. So we make sure that you are the person who is presenting. And if you're saying, oh, they may prepare the presentation in writing, then they say it for the voice print idea. Give them impromptu presentations with no preparation. put them on the spot, you see? But let's think of this voice print.
I like the idea of written presentations, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
But again, even if you show the identity, Rania, when it comes to certain activities, as Hani said, yes, cheating is easy, but I'm saying that educators and technology experts in education especially will find a way to challenge, to overcome these challenges. I'm very positive. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are. Okay, any other questions? Viva, on the topic, set time limits.
Yes, Diana. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
What about having individual meetings with the students?
But they will not show their cameras still.
Audio.
Or if it's acceptable in private rooms,
yeah,
maybe, yeah. So you just give a chance for private, like they do presentation, student and instructor. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, thank you, Diana.
Rania, breakout tools, one for female and one for male.
Culture. I would say, with all respect to culture, yeah, these are factors that we should consider. And I am sure that we can adjust to this to ensure that learning is happening. Anyway, everything in the pandemic stopped. Many serious activities stopped, except learning, except education, flights, events, entertainment, everything except learning. So yeah, thank you very much for your time and for listening and for sharing ideas. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, I got it, Rania. Yeah, you see, there are always solutions. Thank you. Okay.
Any other questions, please? Okay, I think it's time to say thank you again, Ms. Rehab, for such a valuable, interesting session. Thank you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
For the question about the certificate, you will get your certificate as soon as possible, and I'll tell you at the end of the session. It's about 2 or 3 weeks. I'll tell you at the end of the session, don't worry. Now, it's time to introduce Miss Heba Abdurrahman. She will start her session entitled Developing Digital Training for Better Teacher